Welcome to the F3 podcast where we discuss all things that pertain to faith, family, and finances. And remember, no subject is off limits. We are your host today. I am Dr. Lionel M. Blair Sr., and I'm sitting next to the woman who allowed me to become a senior.
Don't say that.
Amen. I'm sitting next to my glorious, my wonderful, my radiant, my beautiful wife. She is the sainted mother herself, one of the most holiest women I know. She is the sainted mother herself, Saint Jasmine the First,
Lord.
because there can only be one Saint Jasmine the First, Dr. Jasmine Blair. Got a good one for you today, as always.
God bless you in the name of the Lord.
God bless you.
Stop. Stop. Welcome, everybody, to the F3 podcast. Shout out to all of our viewers. Listen, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell to be notified every time we drop a new episode. And remember, no subject is off limits because we will talk about what your pastor wants. So today, we are going to give you a little bit of insight. Today, not only are we going to talk about what your pastor wants, we're going to tell you what your pastor wants to say, but probably won't tell you. Now, a couple of episodes ago, we were talking about family reunions with the pastor. So today, we talk about restaurants with the pastor. Here are some of the do's and the don'ts, just how to conduct yourself. For those of y'all that don't know no better, and you see your pastor in public, ooh, don't do that. We're going to teach you how to function like you have a bit of sense. And, this reminds me of that funny story. When we went to that restaurant and we saw the lady and, we were sitting there talking to somebody, who was in a ministry at the time. And this person they was over here with somebody else, family member, relative, brother, sister, uncle, whoever, on my business. So I'm like, okay, we hi, all right.
Bless you.
They about 8 tables over. And so we think they done at this point. Okay, you done already.
Right.
And then they come on over. God bless you, possibly in the restaurant. I'm like, oh.
In the restaurant, I was so embarrassed.
And everybody else come down the extra queue, blah, 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 and then they leave. I'm just like, oh Lord. And thankfully the person, they were lighthearted, they were kind, it's okay. They understood them, but y'all, that was embarrassing.
People are weird.
That was embarrassing. And see, here's the thing, regardless of some people say, well, we all believe no. We are in a public restaurant that serves all kinds of people.
Yeah.
There's a difference between not being ashamed of who you are in Christ and doing something that is socially weird and spooky to people who don't understand. Wisdom says if you are in an environment where people don't, this was not a church service, this was not no crusade. You see what I'm saying? This was not no healing service or no ministry conference. This is a public restaurant where all people do is come here and eat and leave and go home. Mm-hmm. That's not the setting for that. Like you wouldn't do, well, some of y'all would. And you wouldn't do that in the middle of work. So why would you do that in the middle of a restaurant? It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
Don't do that. So wisdom says, even if you are getting that, granted, this particular restaurant, it just seemed to be a hot spot. There was a lot of believers, that went there, probably because the price was good, to be honest. They had enough space for large groups. So
I missed that flounder though.
Every time we went.
Flounder, baba shot. Now I'm gonna eat a bo shot on that.
Every time we went, we always ran into somebody's pastor, somebody's elder, somebody's bishop. It was always somebody there. But say, hey, how you doing? God bless you. But I mean, we're not finna be falling out in tongues in the line to get the fried flounder. Like, come on now. That's too much.
Yeah.
So some of you mean well. You have to remember, while you are in a public place, you want people to have the opportunity to see God through you, not to be turned off because you're doing weird stuff. So use wisdom and have an understanding. If you wouldn't do it in a line at work or the DMV or at the bank, you probably shouldn't be doing it in the middle of the restaurant because that doesn't make sense.
You should.
Now, if somebody fell out and needed healing, or you're praying for somebody while 911 coming, that's something different. But this was just a regular day, and it's just like, okay, you come from 8 tables over to hit a Hucka Masia. Like,
Eat about you.
Why would you do that? So listen, don't do that. And we say this in love, and even to the
Yes.
person who said it. If you see this, we love you.
We
But
love
I
you.
hope that you have grown to a place where you've realized it's probably not the best way to conduct yourself in that type of environment.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The other thing that you've got to recognize is if you see somebody still, don't go all, you don't know who's, or just a nice wave, hey pastor, and keep on going.
Right.
That's not for you to come all over to the table. Like, that's rude.
Yeah.
And maybe some people don't mind it, but I'm just like, okay, if you don't have my real number, don't come over to the table when I'm at the table with somebody. I could be having a business deal. You see what I'm saying? Maybe the
Yeah.
person don't know I'm a pastor. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Maybe we are discussing business. Maybe we are discussing some kind of merger or partnership that has nothing to do with ministry. Some people, you see your pastor and you come over, you want to give a whole testimony. You don't know who that is sitting across from the table, number one,
Mhm.
for you to be telling all your business in front of, because you don't know who that is. Number two, if they are in some kind of, why would you take time away from the person they are with? If it's that important to you, won't you make plans to meet them at the restaurant and tell them all about what God is doing? But do not take time away from the person that is there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Y'all do some weird stuff. Church folk, and see the difference between being spiritual and spooky.
Right.
Y'all be doing this spooky stuff and then wonder why people don't receive you because you have no wisdom. I remember one time I seen they remind me too. I saw a picture one time where there was this well-known bishop slash prophet. You know, he's very well known in the charismatic and the prophetic community, and he's well honored and revered. Okay, yes, God bless you, bishop. And then this guy was recording himself receiving a prophecy from him. Cool, receive your prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
But he was in a restaurant, and this brother was all on his knees with his hands lifted in the restaurant, receiving his prophetic word. Now, I am a believer,
That's
and that looks weird to me in a public place. Where we not be ashamed of Christ? No, we're not ashamed of Christ.
But we also want to be invited, welcome back to the restaurant.
Yeah, like first of all, if we at a restaurant, if we're in a public place where I know that a lot of people do not understand how our faith operates, you see what I'm saying? See, if you was in a church, it'd be different. If you was in a church service, it'd be different. If you was at your house or maybe someone else's house, maybe. You understand what I'm saying? But you're in a restaurant and you want to prove yourself that you so humble to the man of God. You understand what I'm saying? That you gonna get on your knees in the restaurant, and this man prophesying going away, prophesying away.
Like, even though I'm not a fan of like the whole parking lot prophet ministry, I would have rather been prophesied in the parking lot. You see what I'm saying?
Like, I bet you, all them people looking around, looking
like
what the hell wrong with these people? You see what I'm saying?
Somebody sitting there, bless his heart.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like you did. They don't know if it's cultish or what. They don't know it's Christian or not.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So there are many different ways to show honor. If I'm prophesying to somebody in a restaurant, I'm not gonna let you get on your knees in front of me. Okay, listen. There's plenty of ways you can honor me. Okay, if somebody prophesying to you in a restaurant, sow a seed or something, just to let the man or woman of God know, hey, I honor the oil on your life and the word of the Lord, blah, blah, blah. But don't be getting up here, being all dramatic, getting on your knees and all this other stuff. No, indeed. That reminds me, too, that time that young man wanted to bow at my feet. So the Lord told me to bow and kiss your feet. I ain't let him do it.
Not in this restaurant.
I ain't let him do it.
Not in this restaurant. No.
No.
What?
I ain't let him do it, period. But especially in a public place, in a restaurant like that.
See, sometimes people just hear stuff. And I'm not saying God won't speak, okay, give somebody a word or go over and say hello. But sometimes we hear stuff in our little minds that don't be the Lord. And then we do stuff that's weird and people think that we crazy.
Right.
And it honestly gives a bad representation of
Bad.
Christ.
Bad.
So,
Bad. Yeah. See, yeah, and see, the Bible says, "Become all things to all men, that you may win some." Right.
Mhm.
So, in each environment, you have to weigh the temperature of that environment to know how you are to express Christ. It's not suppressing Him; it's expressing Him according to where people can understand it.
Right.
That could have turned the waitress off. You see what I'm saying? And God may give you a word for the waitress. I've been in situations where I've ministered to the waiter or the waitress before. You see what I'm saying? And it was an accurate word for the Lord. But I wasn't doing nothing spooky. I wasn't doing nothing spooky to where it would have turned them off from the word.
Right.
I was sitting there being a normal person, eating my food. Okay? Eating my food. I don't want all the religious theatrics when I'm eating my food.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? If I'm fellowshipping with you and we're talking about the things of God, cool. You know, some people overhear conversations. We've had people overhear conversations. I thought I was the only one, brother. You
right.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's one thing to have conversations. You know, it's another thing to where you're doing all this external stuff in the restaurant.
Just doing too much.
You know, and some of y'all need to be trained how to act in the restaurant as Christians. Because some of y'all have the nastiest attitudes.
No, go ahead.
Some of y'all have the nastiest attitudes towards the waitress. I don't want this food. It's not good. Huh? There's a way to even express your displeasure.
Yeah.
Right? Or if your food is wrong or whatever the case may be. I've sat with people and they've had some of the nastiest attitudes towards the waitress. Nastiest tones with people, and I'm like, how are you Christian?
People have a bad day, they have a hard time at work. I remember some of the worst service I've had at a restaurant was one of my best experiences, because I mean the service was terrible. I mean, it was over an hour before we got any of the food and they still had to go fix it 2 more times. But I was cool about it. The person I was there with was cool about it, and the server kept apologizing because it really wasn't the server's fault. The manager was trying to cook that day, and the manager was trying to tell the server this is what they ordered, and he's like, okay, I took the order, this is not what they ordered. And he just came back. You know what? I want to thank y'all for being kind, for being patient, for not just walking out and, giving me a chance. I've had so many tables walk out on me, because of this today. That ministered to him more than an Ito coming in a Honda.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The fact that people were kind, people were patient. Of course, we still tipped him well. It wasn't his fault. He wasn't the one back there cooking the food.
Right.
And so how you conduct yourself really makes a difference to people. That will minister to people more. I have found people more blessed when there's been something wrong or a mistake made, because I didn't blow up on them or complain or call corporate, but really give them a chance to correct the issue.
Right. Right. So this is why, again, y'all, how y'all act in a restaurant is so important. And some of the nastiest people I've seen have been pastors and bishops.
Yeah, I seen this one guy. He was an entrepreneur, and he said, when he wants to see the character of who people are, he will take them to a restaurant for their final interview, or if they're working on a contract or a deal, he will take them to a restaurant, and he goes early, and he'll tell the server, look, I'm here to meet somebody, but I want you to mess the order up, and I'm gonna give you like an extra $50, but mess their order up at least once, because I want to see how they act. Right. I'm gonna make it worth your time, and because it shows him who they really are.
Yeah.
And he says some people have got it right, but some people have been terrible.
Yeah.
Some of the worst complaints, that I have heard of through the grapevine or have seen with some of these pastors is when your food is not right, or I want this, or I want that, or this is this and this is that. There's nothing wrong with having preferences, but you are not so anointed that you can't treat people like they're human.
Right.
Which brings me to my next point. When you go to these restaurants with your pastor, You need to understand that the restaurant is not a church. So it's very possible that the music may not necessarily be sermonic selection quality.
Exactly.
The music might not be. Almost every restaurant serves some kind of alcoholic beverage. They may have a little bar situation. That is not for you to act religious. You done went to the restaurant so many times before. Well, I don't know if I could sit in there. They got this kind of music. They got a bar in there. Okay, but you're not there for that. You're there to eat the food. Just go sit on the other side of the restaurant.
Well, that remind me of that time we were celebrating one of our ex-members' birthdays. And I mean, we picked out a decent restaurant. I forgot what it was, but and this lady literally complained it was about to cry because it had alcohol in the darn restaurant.
I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to eat it. They just have a bar, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, were you an alcoholic, or you just upset that they got a bar? Because I mean, obviously, wisdom says somebody that
so mad
has
that
been
day.
to AA, they're a recovering alcoholic. You don't need to be nowhere near them. I got that, but if that's not your testimony, why are you upset because they got a bar? You don't have to sit at the bar.
She was just being religious, so we had to end up going to IHOP, but which IHOP is not bad, but that's not the restaurant we planned.
The food was not what I had a taste for.
Yeah, I'm just like Jesus Christ.
My God, they got a bar.
There's alcohol everywhere. There's alcohol in the grocery store you go to. You don't stop going to the grocery store.
Honestly, you go some places, you go sit at the bar and actually just get your food faster because the kitchen is right there.
Yeah.
So they've got different people cooking the food right there. So you could just go in there
sit at the bar
and sit at the bar, and then you could get your food in like 10 minutes as opposed to going to sit at a regular table and then you wait 30, 45 minutes for your food.
I really do. I like sitting at the bar eating. Okay, TV right there. Bless God. All right.
You get your food, like you get your apple, because the kitchen's right there. They've got typically a different person right there cooking your food. So it is what it is. And then you ain't got to wait. When you're ready to go, you can cash out right there. You're not waiting for them to go print the check and bring you the check and walk all around the merry-go-round. Like you can literally go right there and get your stuff and be good.
Oh, Bishop at the bar. Pastor at the bar. I saw him sitting at the bar. You sure did.
I mean, they got dessert, everything that's on the regular menu, you can still get at the bar.
I mean, for real. For real. And I like the seats because they sit high up. I like seats that sit high up anyway.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So,
anyway.
And then you wonder why you can't win no souls.
Doing too much.
Oh yeah. Some. I'm gonna tell you something.
Some of the people that's been, oh wow, you a pastor, the person serving the food at the bar.
Yeah, for real.
For real? What church y'all at?
Yeah, for real. I mean, we've met some nice people sitting at the bar.
Honestly, a lot of bartenders are in college or they're going to night school. They're working on a business. These are people that need to be ministered to. It's not just homeless people.
Yeah.
It's not just there are people of all walks of life that need ministry. So how you gonna become all things to all men if you won't even sit and eat your hamburger or your chicken salad at the bar to be able to minister to the person that's working behind the bar?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we was at the hotel bar one day. We got back late, and the lady asked me what was my profession, and I told her, and I told her one of the things that I do is that I minister. And she's like, that's interesting. Explain that to me.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It creates an opportunity for conversation. You don't know what seed you can plant in those moments. Okay, you don't know, people's previous experience with church, whether it's good, bad, or ugly.
Right.
A lot of people have ugly experiences with church.
A lot of people.
I'm a preacher, and I got ugly experiences with church. Okay, y'all some of the worst people on the planet. Okay,
we love y'all though.
We love you.
Some of
y'all
need some extra touches from the Lord.
Mean as hell. Okay. Okay, y'all make me cuss. Okay, anyway. I love you though. But it creates opportunities for conversation, that could plant a seed. But see, we are afraid to go into other environments, right? We are afraid to engage people in environments, okay, that may not be suitable for our traditional view of Christianity.
Mm.
Okay, I've been able to minister to people at the bar. Okay, I've been able to minister to people outside of the church in different settings. Okay, yeah. To create conversation and plant seeds and things like that. And then people have questions about God, and then guess what? It positions you to be able to answer their question.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And then you make connections that could be profitable for you in the future.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? But you got to know how to become all things to all men. Don't mean you have to agree. Okay, but you got to learn to relate in some kind of way.
Mm.
So that's the problem. A lot of y'all Christians are not relatable at all. You're just condemning of people and stuff like that. And see, I used to think that was the way you had to be, because that's how we was been taught and trained. Okay, like Christians, you have to be so hard about your faith. Okay, and listen, yeah, be stern and earnest about your faith. Be serious about your faith, because I take my faith seriously. But one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to just be automatically condemning folk to hell and all this other stuff. Okay, I don't condemn you to hell, okay, or anything like that. I'm trying to snatch you from the bowels of hell. Okay, and sometimes that takes planting the seed, and somebody else may come along and water. Okay, but if you don't know how to act in public spaces, like a restaurant,
right?
It's back to the restaurant again. Okay, if you don't know how to act in public space, I heard a preacher say one time, like, he don't really drink wine like that, but sometimes he, when he's sitting in the midst of a bunch of people or whatever, he'll get a glass and he'll barely sip it or whatever. He just used it for conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because some people they get turned off, by you when you don't you don't engage in a certain way. That's why you got to measure the temperature of your company. You understand what I'm saying? But again, you got to learn to become all things to all men. That's how Jesus was.
Yeah, without becoming lawless.
That's why the sinners loved Jesus. He turned water into wine, and he drank the wine with him, and that's why they accused him of being a wine bibber. They accused him.
And it was good wine, because they accused the wedding host of saving the good wine later instead of putting it out first. So it won't just wine. It was so good. They accused him. Why you ain't put this out first? I'm paraphrasing. The good wine was supposed to come out first.
Right. So Jesus knew how to relate in every environment. Right. He knew how to relate to people in every environment, and that's why they loved him so much. You understand what I'm saying? That's why the sinners wanted to be around him. Do sinners want to be around you?
Oh,
you. That's all I'm saying. Do sinners want to be around you? Because there was one point in time, ain't nobody want to be around me. Okay? Ain't nobody wanted to be around me.
Anything else you got for them? Oh, if you go to the restaurant with your pastor, don't be cheap. Make sure you tip well.
Tip.
Don't be cheap. Don't you show up with no $5 tip. Do not get them people $5 and the bill is $100 and something worth of food. How dare you?
My God, do you have at least a $20 bill?
I mean, tip them people. They work hard.
At least
they get a service wage, which is less than minimum. Tip them people well. If you're gonna tip them $5, don't go nowhere with me. Don't do that. Them people work too hard to be disrespected like that. If you do not have enough to appropriately tip them, you shouldn't even be out eating in the first place. That's my closing remarks.
Yeah, don't be an El Cheapo. Okay, for all that, you can cook at home. Cook at home and invite some folk over. Okay, if you don't like the tip. Yeah, I can't stand cheap tippers either. Learn to TIP. Tip.
Exactly.
And tip well. All right, y'all. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, we hope y'all got some laughs, but in all seriousness, we hope that you guys got some takeaways from today's episode. Listen, Stay tuned. Tell us down in the comments what you think. If you've got some other funny experiences of being out in restaurants with believers, tell us down in the comments. We want to hear from you. Be sure to follow us over on IG at King and Queen Blair. And until next time on the F3 podcast, goodbye.